More than any other of Earth's ecosystems, the grasslands capture the essence of life. With roots going deep down below the surface, they are a source of food for both simple and complex forms of life. And as the grasslands pass through a marked seasonal cycle, these lives flourish and die. Snow-capped mountains and deep rainforests are features of Yunnan. Bright flowers and luxuriant green are also features of the province. Nature's unrestrained imagination has created numerous mysteries here. In Yunnan, the landforms are highly complex, the climate highly varied, and the soil highly diverse. This mountainous province contains a greater diversity of grassland than anywhere else in China. The only plateau grassland on the planet is found in Yunnan. This vast area stretches from the Kunlun and Qilian mountains in the north to the Himalayas in the south and borders the Pamirs to the west. A small seed falls to the ground. It takes root in the soil and germinates. Nourished by the sunlight, rain and dew, it grows quietly day after day, year after year, until it finally presents a spectacular image of vitality. Tall trees standing proud. Thick shrubs of various shapes and sizes. Tenacious vines twisting and twining. In spring, the mountains, rivers, hills, and open country are covered in lush green. In autumn, the landscape becomes a sea of tinted colors. One family of flora keeps a low profile. These are herbaceous plants. Theirs is a short life cycle, and they generally perish after 4 seasons. They cover the ground rather like a thick skin, blocking and deflecting the sunlight. In this way, they are preserving the underground and surface water. In winter, they mitigate the severe cold, allowing the seeds to survive. The moss, lichen, and algae need only a little water, a little soil, and a little sunlight. With these limited resources, they managed to grow and reproduce, providing a rich covering of greenery and flowers. Where grass grows thickly over a vast area, this is called grassland. Because the soil here is thin and there is little precipitation, the growth of the woody plants is stunted. But the herbaceous plants are thriving. In terms of its structure and function, a grassland ecosystem is entirely different from forest and farmland ecosystems. Grasslands allow humans to raise animals. They also serve as a vital ecological barrier. The Yunnan Grassland extends across part of the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. Here numerous major rivers have, through history, nourished the great civilizations of China and Southeast Asia. The Yunnan Grassland is home to many ethnic groups who are masters of water conservation and ecological protection. Among the towering peaks of the Wumeng Mountains on the Yunnan Plateau lies a mysterious area of subalpine wetland and meadow. This is the Dashanbao wetland in Jiaotong. The wide open plateau, round, gentle hills, and vast expanse of low-lying wetland nurture a rich variety of flora and fauna. In winter, when the water level drops and the shallow shoals expand, Dashanbao attracts vast numbers of black-necked cranes. The black-necked crane is the only species of bird that hibernates and breeds on the plateau. The black-necked crane is an endangered species. Dozens of reserves have been established for it to winter and breed. The Dashanbao National Nature Reserve in Jiaotong is one of the most important. The lake marshes offer a plentiful supply of food for the cranes: leaves, rhizomes, algae, insects, fish and frogs. But there is a problem. In winter, the black-necked cranes and other migratory birds dig up the crops left in the harvested fields. In spring, they eat the seeds the villagers have planted. In 2004, the residents of a village called Ganhaizi in Dashanbao opted to return their farmland to wetland and relocate. They did so to make more living space for the black-necked cranes. The few villagers who remain are protecting this rare bird. Ten years ago, Chen Kuanghui took over from her mother-in-law the job of protecting the cranes. One of her tasks is to replenish the black-necked crane's food supply when it's scarce in winter. Over the past 10 years, she has grown very close to the black-necked cranes. She treats them almost like her own children. But she's aware that she mustn't interfere too much. It's her responsibility to create a good environment and conditions for the cranes to thrive naturally. In late summer and early autumn, the southward extending section of the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau is brightly colored. Though not as vast as the grasslands of North China, the area is noted for its remarkable biodiversity. A particular feature here is the wild flowers that are scattered across the alpine meadow. Zhang Jianhua is an ethnic Tibetan herder. He usually travels by motorbike, but he still enjoys galloping across the prairie on horseback, just as his parents and grandparents did. Horses and grass, common species of fauna and flora, have combined to create a time-honored and splendid nomadic civilization. Zhang Jianhua is on his way to visit a young lady. He's in love and believes that arriving on horseback will impress her. An atmosphere of renewal and romance pervades this vast expanse of green. The young lady is grazing her yaks. In this cold, mountainous region, their yaks are a family's most valuable possession. The herd scatter at the sound of approaching hoofbeats. Three million years ago, yaks roamed vast areas of northeastern Eurasia. Later, influenced by movements of the Earth's crust and climate change, they migrated southward to the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau. There, in the course of adapting to the frigid climate, they evolved. Today, they are capable of surviving in the harsh environment and enduring cold, hunger, and thirst. Lake Shudu in autumn, surrounded by colorful forests, presents a spectacle of pastoral purity. Here the snowline rises during the day and descends at night. Driven by the shifting snowline, the cattle move to and fro between the thick, luxuriant forest and the broad, warm meadow. Dawa leaves his 50 yaks to graze naturally on the mountains. Once every 40 days, he climbs up to the meadow, 4,000 meters above sea level, to feed them a mixture of highland barley and salt. This simple concoction provides the yaks with the energy they need to resist the cold. Eventually, winter passes, and the breeze announces the coming of spring. The grassland experiences 4 distinct seasons. In spring, summer, and autumn there is a lot of activity, when the wild grass rapidly completes its germination, flowering, and fruiting. The seeds are scattered far and wide, carried by the wind, birds and animals. Then comes the long winter, lasting 6 months, when the life cycle comes to an end, before another spring ushers in a fresh revival. Lush, lush grass on the plain. Once every year it sears and grows. Wildfire cannot burn it out. Spring breeze blows it back to life. These famous lines by the Tang Dynasty poet Bai Juyi describe the unquenchable life force of the grassland. The wild grass is tenacious as it constantly strives to sustain and conquer the land. The meadow on Mount Dahai Cao is categorized not as alpine, but subalpine. The beautiful, broad and gentle rolling mountains are full of life. This is an ideal place for sheep to graze. With their plump bodies, they symbolize good fortune, wealth, and happiness. Here, it's possible for a farmer to make a good living from his livestock, sheep in particular. Grass needs water to grow. The rainwater promotes decomposition, which produces rich organic soil. Even in strong sunlight, when evaporation is intense, the grass layer will prevent any rapid loss of water, allowing the grassland to renew and repair itself. In March, life is returning to the Shuode pasture in Qubei County in the heart of Yunnan. After lying dormant in winter, the tender shoots emerge, covering the slope with a carpet of fresh green. The kid, stumbling along at its mother's side, is just 2 hours old. It's learning how to keep on its feet, while the mother remains vigilant, looking constantly around to identify any sign of danger. Given their position in the food chain, the grassland herbivores are inherently wary. Goats are gentle creatures and not very big. Their most effective defense is their eyes. Located on the sides of the head, they afford an excellent field of vision. A goat's pupils dilate at the sign of danger. But the little one uses its eyes for only one purpose, to find its mother's breast. The sun is setting, and it's time for the herd to return to their fold. The kid is still struggling to walk, so its mother needs to be patient. An affectionate lick offers some encouragement. A unique geomorphologic landform extends along the Red River Valley. It's dominated by xerophyllous dog's-tail grass and dotted with sparse patches of trees and shrubs. This type of meadow, more commonly associated with parts of Africa and South America, is called tropical savanna. In China, tropical savanna is mainly found in the dry, hot basins of the Yuanjiang, Nujiang, and Lancang rivers in Yunnan. The largest area extends across the Yuanjiang River basin, where many species of vegetation can be seen that are similar to what's found on the African continent. In June, the Aini pasture in Manzhongtian village is a vast area of wet grassland. This subtropical grassland covers 2,000 hectares. Abundant rainwater and the humid climate provide rich nutrients for the grass and cattle. The unbroken sea of grass stretches as far as the horizon. The pasture, after weathering in autumn, deterioration in winter, and incubation in spring, presents a green carpet in summer when the grass takes root. The local tradition of rotational grazing ensures that the grassland recuperates and provides sufficient forage for the cattle. By 10 o'clock in the morning, the pasture is alive. Young Jiming is grazing his 2,000 cattle. It's a large herd, but there's plenty of food to go around. The meadow, lying among mountains and beneath the blue sky, is a place that encourages quiet contemplation. Here, by closing your eyes and calming your mind, you can almost hear the gentle breathing of the grass and the light rustling of the tender shoots. This celebration of life creates a resonance between the human heart and nature. In the natural world, an invisible hand regulates everything. And all living things in their natural place strive to fulfill their life's mission.
向所有方向